let's talk about something that you and I have talked about many times, Philip. Our friend Shamima Begum, the ISIS bride who fled this country when she was 15 years old. A lot of people say, oh, she's our problem. Well, actually, she's been stripped of her British citizenship. And that has been ratified, I think, twice now by British courts. There's been an appeal which has failed. So she is not a British citizen. So therefore, I would argue she is not our responsibility. And yet the increasingly woke and ridiculous United Nations has ordered us to repatriate her because, as far as they're concerned, she was a victim of trafficking and sexual exploitation. There's no evidence to prove that. And as I say, our situation must be, our standpoint must be, she's not our responsibility. She can stay in the desert.
Well, and UK courts have decided that the trafficking side didn't affect it. When she went off as a jihadi bride, she was 15 years old, same age as Greta Thunberg, who was standing at up in the United Nations General Assembly, giving her wisdom to world leaders and bits and pieces. And world leaders took her seriously, and she was mature enough to do that. Whereas somehow or other, Shamima Begum is not mature enough to understand what.
Tell us how dangerous she is.
She is very dangerous in that she has never been, admitted truly what she got up to. And the Western brides that went into ISIS carried out policing duties amongst other brides that were there and were part of the organisations that helped capture, rape, torture the Yazidi women, the Christians from the region, and she said the heads I saw in the bins didn't bother me. Yeah. So to bring her back into this country, we can never trust a single thing that she says, and that's going to cost the taxpayer a minimum of £1 million a year just to watch her, just to monitor her as a threat, whether she's inside prison or not. And you trying to prove something that will get above the very high level of UK law to prosecute her and get her into prison is going to be very difficult indeed. That'll cost millions. When she's out in society, it'll cost us millions. And she'll then just sit there and go and make a film and write a book and make her millions out of it and make us a laughingstock.
So I read an interesting thing the other day that some of these jihadi brides who are now stuck in these sort of massive refugee camps in places like Syria are starting to marry ISIS fighters again, who then bribe the officials to bust them out of the refugee camp. Yeah. And it made me think, oh yeah, ISIS, what are they up to these days?
Yeah, well, ISIS and Al-Qaeda, because we don't talk too much about Al-Qaeda, haven't really gone away. Al-Qaeda are moving back into Afghanistan again, now that it's becoming a safe space for them to look at that. ISIS, different groups within the jihadi network are aligning themselves to whichever organisation they think that will release either funding or more support or something else. And we're seeing ISIS centre of gravity moving away from the Middle East into sort of Central African areas and all the rest of it. And we're seeing some of the activities in Nigeria and elsewhere. They haven't gone away, that comes from another individual related to terrorism, but they are sitting trying to plan further spectaculars. Al-Qaeda are concerned that ISIS have taken the front line for too long, and it's been too long since their 9/11 attack. They want to come back and do a 9/11 spectacular. ISIS are going, we want to come back with a big noise. So all of this is going on in the background, whilst we're seeing all of the destabilisation through the protests and everything else that's happening around the world, stimulated by Iran. We're in an increasingly dangerous place.